Welcome guys back to another video in the channel. Today we are doing our Premier League predictions for match day 7 now of the Premier League. But just before we get into this video, I just wanted you to have a quick look at our leaders for our FPL Fantasy League. If you do want to join it, a link is in the description box down below. If you click the link, create an account and join, you can. And these are the leaders. And yeah, it's just a bit of fun and you may as well join if you're here. So let's get straight into the predictions. So the first game is Wolves versus Crystal Palace. Now again, Wolves aren't in the greatest of form, so I think this could be a very open game. Looking at the results of the two sides, first of all, Crystal Palace, they won their last game away to Fulham 2-1, and in which they actually took an early lead with HJ90 before Wilfred Zaha added to that in the 63rd minute, and then Thomas Kearney made a consolation goal with Aboubakar Kamara getting sent off for Fulham as well. So a good win there for Crystal Palace, which does take them up the table, and it does take them into 8th position now in the Premier League, 10 points of 6 games. Now looking at Wolves, they're not in the greatest of nick at the moment, are they? And they had a 1-1 draw at home to Newcastle in their last game, in which Raul Jimenez scored a late winner in the 80th minute before Jacob Murphy in the 89th minute gets an equaliser for Newcastle, which does leave Wolves, looking at the league table now, it does leave them 9th, same points as Crystal Palace. So this, whoever wins here will go above each other. So it's a big game for both sides, and a game on which I think likes of Wilfred Zaha will be very influential for Crystal Palace to try and get them a win here, to drive past that Wolves back line. But again, they do play a low block, they do play with the 5 at the back, Wolves, so it will be difficult, it won't be easy, but Crystal Palace will fancy their chances against the side who haven't been very good this season. So my prediction for this one is still a Wolves win, but it's going to be a narrow one. It's going to be a 1-0 win. Next game is Sheffield United versus Manchester City, a game in which last season it would have been much closer, but on paper now Man City do look like the team that could run away with this one. They're in midweek, they had a 3-0 win over Marseille, very comfortable win for them. But Sheffield United in their last game, which was in the Premier League, they had a 2-1 loss away to Liverpool. They were in the game for a long time. Sander Berge actually took the lead for them before Roberto Firmino and Diogo Jota got a game back for Liverpool as they clinched a win. Again, Liverpool don't looking great, Nick. Midweek they played Midtjylland and they got a red card. We'll go on Liverpool in a bit, but again, Sheffield United played quite well in this game, and they could fancy their chances against the Manchester City side, who in their last Premier League game drew 1-1 away to West Ham. Mikel Antonio taking the lead for West Ham before Phil Foden in the 51st minute equalised for Manchester City. Looking at the table in the Premier League, Manchester City are sitting in 13th position at the moment, 5 games and 8 points for them. They don't look the greatest at the moment, but again, anything could change at any time. So they could easily get a few wins and get way high at the table. It's early days, you can't really say much at the moment. So in my opinion, this has to be quite simply a Manchester City win. Sheffield United just don't score enough goals, and City's defence, they've improved quite a lot this season. Nathan Ake, Ruben Diaz coming in. I just can't see a way in which Sheffield United can score enough to win this game, which is why I'll give Manchester City a 3-1 win in this one. Next game is Burnley versus Chelsea in the Premier League. Looking at Chelsea's last game, they had a dull 0-0 draw away to actually Manchester United, in a game in which all their signings did actually feature. Edouard Mendy, Silva, Chilwell, Havertz, Werner, and I'm pretty sure off the bench Ziyech featured as well for Chelsea. So it is taking time for their new signings to gel, Chelsea, and that does leave them in quite a low position at the moment. 10th position at the moment, 6 games, 9 points, not great at all for them. They're getting a lot of draws. I think that is what their problem is. And Frank Lampard does have a 33% win percentage this season. That's not good enough for the signings and the amount of money they have spent this season. So they really need to get a move on. But looking at Burnley in their last game, they held on actually quite well against Tottenham Hotspur. They held on for quite long, but in the end, Heung-min Son did find the winner for Tottenham Hotspur off a corner, and they did win. They did end up losing that one. But that does leave Burnley in the league table. Just having a quick look here, it just still leave them in the relegation zone. 5 games, 1 point. Yes, they do have a game in hand, but they really need to look at this game as an opportunity to gain some ground on the other opposition and try and get high up the table. Chelsea don't look in great knack, so I think Burnley could fancy the chances here, but I do expect Chelsea to win this one. On paper they look like a much better side, and I do think the quality should prevail in this game, which is why I will give Chelsea a 2-0 win in this one. Next game is Liverpool versus West Ham. Now, Liverpool, this is the main talking point here, because right now they are not doing well at all. They had Van Dijk injured, and they had Matip injured, and now in midweek in their 2-0 win over Midtjylland, Fabinho, who was acting as their deputy centre-back, has also now got injured. So they've only got one centre-back, senior centre-back left, which is Joe Gomez. So Liverpool do look like they're in a lot of trouble, and the January transfer window couldn't come quicker for them. But they have to navigate some way through till the January transfer window, which they can make moves. Now, they are playing West Ham, a team that we did say earlier did draw 1-1 to Manchester City and look quite impressive, actually. And Liverpool in midweek won against Midtjylland 2-0, but they did edge past Sheffield United in the last Premier League game 2-1, as we did say earlier as well. But I think West Ham can have a shock win here. I think they're a very good side at the moment, well driven by David Moyes. They did make a good late signing in the end of Said Benrahma, and it will help them moving forward. And I think when these are good players, because they have a lot of quality, West Ham, but last season it just couldn't happen for them. They couldn't gel those players together. Pellegrini couldn't do it for them, but maybe Moyes can help them. He's a very experienced manager, played at the top level, like he's managed at the top level as well, so he could guide them to a higher top half finish, and I think that's what West Ham will be aiming for this season. But I will give West Ham a shock win here. I will give them a 2-1 win in this one. Next game is Aston Villa versus Southampton. Now, in my opinion, I do think, Aston Villa will probably run away with this one, but I do want to look at the two sides. But again, looking at Aston Villa in their last fixture, they did actually lose 3-0 to Leeds United. I think this was a wake-up call for Aston Villa, because everyone was thinking, they could finish, easily top half. They could, challenge for Europa League. They could challenge for Champions League, some people were thinking. But again, this was a good reality check for Aston Villa to show them, it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of consistency to reach the top level, and that was shown against Leeds United in a game in which Patrick Bamford scored a hat-trick for them last Friday. That still leave Aston Villa in still quite a high position. Still leaves them in third with 12 points after 5 games. But I do think they'll end up falling off. But again, Southampton, they're doing all right themselves, winning 2-0 over Everton. The decent performance from them at a game in which Che Adams and James Ward-Prowse scored in the first half to seal a win for them, and they did hold on to that lead. So Aston Villa won't be the easiest game against Southampton, but I do expect Aston Villa to still win in this one, which is why I will give Aston Villa a 3-1 win in this one. Next game in the Premier League is Newcastle versus Everton. Now, Everton, we did talk about this in the last one. They did lose 2-0 to Southampton. A shock result, which still does leave them at the top of the table, though, with 6 games and 13 points, with 5-goal differential, keeping them above their Merseyside rivals, who are on 1-goal differential, but with still 13 points. Now, again, that Southampton game, and I'll say the same thing that I said about Aston Villa, a reality check. Everton are not there yet, and I think over the course of the season, I just don't think they have the squad to challenge for a league title. They could even challenge for top 4, I'm not sure, but I just don't think they have a quality to challenge for a title. They have the manager to do so maybe in a few years they do, but I don't think this season will be the season for them. But I do think playing against the Newcastle side, who have done decent for themselves, picking up a 1-1 draw against the Wolverhampton Wanderers, which does leave Newcastle actually in 14th position with 6 games and 8 points, doing all right for themselves. But Newcastle do need to pick up some points. They don't want to fall off too much, but this Everton game will be a huge ask for them. But Everton will want to bounce back. Carlo Ancelotti will put that into them, which is one of the reasons I will give Everton a 4-1 win in this one. Next game in the Premier League is Manchester United versus Arsenal. A huge game in the Premier League, the biggest of the match day. Now, this is going to be a very, very tough test for both managers, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is in a bit of trouble at the moment, and Mikel Arteta is getting confused as well. So it's going to be a huge test for both managers, and I think a win for either manager will be huge for this one. But as you all know, Arsenal's record away to the top 6 is absolutely horrendous. So horrendous, I don't even want to talk about it. So hopefully Arsenal do pick up and win this one. I will do a separate match preview for this one later after Arsenal's game against Dundalk. So that is it for now. Next game is Tottenham versus Brighton. Now, Tottenham, everyone's saying they could be going for a title. Now, you might want to hear my thoughts about this one. Now, Tottenham, they're doing very well this season. In the last game, they did win 1-0 over Burnley, and they're looking great now. They've got quite a deep squad. I was praising this myself off camera, but, I just... Tottenham, will they challenge for a title? Tottenham are known as bottle jobs. Will they challenge for a title? They have a title-winning manager in them. They can win the title this season, and I hate to say it, but they could challenge. Initially when I heard people saying they could challenge for titles this season, I thought, no, they're probably lying. It's not going to happen. But, after thinking about it, and after thinking about the kind of mess City are in, even though they've done well, but they're still not the team they were, Liverpool, obviously, with their problems we've talked about, and other teams not being as good as they are, Arsenal, United being transition, Chelsea as well. Tottenham going to have a chance here, and Tottenham, they do have a great team, so hard saying this, but I do think they'll win this game over Brighton. You know, Brighton, again, they look half decent. I don't think they'll be in trouble this season of any sorts. I don't think so. Looking in the league table, they do sit 16th with 5 points of 6 games. So Brighton will be looking to hurt Tottenham's bubble here, but I do think Tottenham will run away with this one with a 3-0 win. Next game is Fulham versus West Brom. I'm not going to talk too much about it. I need to wrap up this episode, but to both teams, they were promoted, and they're not doing the greatest this season, I'll be honest with you. West Brom, they have picked up 3 points of 6 games, but Fulham, on the other hand, they're bottom, 1 point, 6 games. How much more time does their manager get, and will he get sat? I'm pretty sure it's Scott Parker, isn't it? And again, it's a huge test, and I think if Fulham need to win some games, they do need to win this one. They lost 2-1 to Crystal Palace, and West Brom in their last game, they drew 1-1 to Brighton, so both teams will be hoping to bounce back, and it's a very interesting one, probably one to look out for, and I do think Fulham will win this one. I'm backing Fulham on this one, and I will give them a 2-1 win in this one. I think it's going to be a tight one. Not an easy one, but a tight one. The next game is Leeds versus Leicester City. Now, I think this is probably the second biggest game of this match day, and I think both teams will be looking to go at each other. This is going to be a very entertaining game, in my opinion. Both teams really, have a go at each other, and Leicester City, obviously, in their last game, they won 1-0 to Arsenal. Let's just not talk about that one. But Leeds in the last game, they won 3-0 very convincingly over Aston Villa. So they'll be in very good form at the moment, and we're looking at both teams in the league table, where Leicester City are sitting 4th with 12 points, and Leeds sitting are 6th with 10 points. So both teams could be a very tight game. It's going to be a free-flowing game, but I will give Leicester City a 4-3 win in this one. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Leave your prediction in the comment section down below. See you guys in the next one. Bye.